Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Sadowsky. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Internet Society, as is my colleague Alan Greenberg, who is sitting to my right. We are here in Colombo, Sri Lanka, on a mission to examine the progress in university computing in Sri Lanka. And during the visit, which was hosted in part by Professor V.K. Samaranayaka, the father of computing in Sri Lanka, we've had the good fortune to meet Sir Arthur Clarke, who is sitting to my left. And we thought that this would be a good opportunity for us to capture some thoughts from this person who has been so prolific as a writer and as a futurist during the majority of our lifetimes. Arthur, I know you as a writer because that's how I first met you. But how do you think of yourself?
Fiction or non-fiction?
Well, I guess it depends how good your imagination is.
Well, I do regard myself primarily as a writer and an extrapolator, both in fiction and non-fiction. I often get some idea, I used to, I don't know much writing now, and I say, this will make a good essay. And then I write an essay and an article, which I then used to submit to the paper that published most of my scientific journals, Playboy magazine. And then I realized it might make a good story as well, so I base the story on that. And sometimes it works the other way around.
Arthur, you've been living in Sri Lanka for over 40 years now. In that time, you must have seen a radical change in the country and modernization. How would you characterize it, and how has it affected you? I mean, you're coming from the West.
Yes, it's changed my life completely. I can recall that when my agent got a rather important deal, it took him about 2 days to make a phone call to me, and then it took me about 2 days to make a phone call back to him. Now, of course, it takes about 2 seconds through email. So communications have completely transformed my life. I can't imagine living here, without the technology.
When you started writing science fiction, a concept such as the internet didn't really exist. To what extent did your writings foresee the emergence of such an enormous network and an interconnected set of computers with access to unbelievable amounts of information, sometimes organized?
Well, round about 1960, I wrote a short story called Dial F for Frankenstein, which was what happened when the world's telephone networks, all copper wires in those days. Oh no, I've got it wrong. When the first satellite links were set up, this was before there were any, and the network became conscious and took over the world. Now, Tim Berners-Lee is regarded as the inventor of the World Wide Web, attributes that story to, giving him the idea. So I guess I'm the godfather of the World Wide Web, with all its implications, all the implications that the word godfather has.
You're not implying that the web has become the Frankenstein of the internet, are you?
Sometimes I think it has.
There's a recurring theme in a lot of your stories. The Dial F for Frankenstein is one, about the balance between control, between man and machine. And I wonder, looking at the rate at which technology is progressing now and how we're able to build in intelligence, certain dimensions of intelligence into these various electronic gadgets, do we really have to worry? What do you think the balance will be between control of the world or of the universe by man or by machine?
I don't think we have to worry because there's nothing we can do about it now. And I only hope that our silicon successors will treat us kindly.
You mean it's too late?
Too late already.
Oh.
Well, indeed, it's hard to imagine that we could turn off our worldwide banking systems, which are run by computer, or our telephone systems. So you may be right, it probably is too late. They've taken over, we just haven't realized it.
Actually, the world would starve. I mean, imagine if just a telephone system, let alone anything else. I mean, we rely on communications for transfer food, everything now. And that's why I'm very worried about electromagnetic pulse weapons.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is something to worry about. Right. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned them.
Well, can you talk a little bit about the concerns?
Well, the idea is, of course, to use an explosive, not necessarily a nuclear explosive. It can be done with chemical explosives, and a magnet system to create a colossal pulse of electromagnetic energy which can fry all the electronics within miles, if not within hundreds of miles. And you could destroy a country, you know, without killing a single person, except those who are unlucky enough to be trapped in lifts and couldn't get out.
That's a scary prospect.
Very scary.
Yeah.
So a lot of very bright people are working on it right now. And of course the solution, it's hard to see what the solution is because you can't spend all your life in a Faraday cage, earth to the ground.
How long have you used the internet here?
Well, I don't know. I can't remember life before it.
You said you use email, and I presume you use the web. Can you give us some insight into what kind of things you do with the internet access?
Nearly all my correspondence is now in email. I get no old-fashioned snail mail or flying snail mail, except books. All the important letters, communications come through email. So I'm totally reliant on it. And it's speeded up life incredibly. I get more mail a day now than when I was living in England. I got in a week, in a month.
Is that a good thing?
Yes and no. I feel, you know, deprived. I don't have my 20 or 30 emails waiting for me in the morning.
Well, some people claim that the internet is in danger of having its power vitiated because of the amount of spam and misuse of the net that's occurring now. Have you noticed that here? Do you have any thoughts about it? Does it give rise to any story ideas?
I have received a certain amount of spam, but perhaps I'm lucky. I've had quite a few viruses. That, of course, is very upsetting. I don't know what can be done about that. I think the servers should do a better job, you know, monitoring for viruses.
Do you see the possibility of warfare going electronic on the internet with regard and using these agents of destruction and change as something to be wary of?
Yes, the next World War may be entirely internet. You can do such nasty things, you know, if you think about it. And so you could cripple a country's communications, and which is really all you need to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask you about the impact of internet on development. One of the things that the Internet Society has done a lot of is to train people from developing countries to go back to their countries and to hook up their countries to the internet, to develop the infrastructure, to teach people how to use the internet and so on. And we've in fact done that in quite a few countries, and the fathers of the internet in these countries often come from our training courses. That happened in Sri Lanka also, where Gihan Dias and Ruvan Wiramasinghe primarily have been responsible for its introduction. But this is all based on the idea that information technology really helps development. It's a necessary ingredient in helping countries improve their economic and social status. Can you comment on that, and can you say anything, any observations you've made in Sri Lanka with regard to the effect of information technology?